Welcome back to the bridge. We recently added another iterator for results to SQL.org. We already had iRows and rows, which return tables in array and key value form, respectively. The addition is calls, which returns one value per column. This is usually easier to read and preferred if we don't need the table that a row would otherwise come in. Turns out, and I know this will shock you, the first edition had a bug. I do a lot of work by sleeping, and this was one of those. I was working in the late evenings, which I do sometimes if I feel like it, and something was tickling my brainstem. When I woke up, I had it. Iterators quit when the first return value is nil. Our SQLite library uses nil to represent null, which is the better of the two bad choices. These things combined means that a null in any row of the first column would short-circuit the iterator. I hadn't seen this yet, because the two places I had deployed the method had not null columns in first place. The fix is easy. Add an index as the first column, which both solves the problem and is better on the merits. So that's the what. Let's take a look at the how. All right, we have calls on the right here, and we're going to load up Helm on the left. We're going to build ourselves a little database to check that the iterator is doing the wrong thing. So, as you can see, I've created databases before, and since we have those lines in the record, we can just go ahead and retrieve them. Now we want to add one with a null statement. And one more so that we can retrieve non-nulls once we have the ability to do that. Now we're going to set up the column iterator. Actually, first let's check. Yep, so we got a little hole in A. Then we're going to go ahead and take our iterator and do a little for statement, dropping it into a table so that we can check the results. Now QQ doesn't exist yet, so when I run this, we get an error. Our errors don't usually print that way. There's a temporary bug in how we're doing error reporting. It's already fixed. Well, let's fire it up again. We're going to need the iterator first. And voila! We see that we did not get 5 in our collection. Quod erat demonstrandum. The fix is relatively simple. We already have an n that we're keeping track of so that we can avoid going over max records, which is an optional argument. We're just going to turn it into a zero-based iterator and return it before the unpack. Worth noting, on any other project, we would be able to just set up a listener and check the changes in the code as soon as we hit save, but SQL.org gets built into the binary, so not going to work. What we can do is run all the way up to our database creation and just rerun everything, and there it is. We're drawing a different column now because things have moved over, but I got a little mass grep setup that covers only orb directories of whatchamacallit. So I have, in this case, calls itself in SQL and 2 other instances. I'm just gonna patch them real quick. Here we do not need the index, so we can just ignore it and move on. Now in session we have an index already. Good sign that this is the right thing to do. And so rather than collecting it separately, we can just add it, knock off a couple lines, and Bob's your proverbial uncle. And so let's copy over the new bridge to where I keep it and run Valiant real quickly. Looks like it still works. Those are sessions, which are recorded Helm sessions that serve as unit tests. And that's what we're going to look at right now. So we're starting a new session, that's the -n, and begin of course by giving it a title, by which it will be referred to when we run it from the command line later. So under more normal circumstances, I could just rewind and play like I did last time, but I put some stuff in between, and we do have a mechanism to remove that, but I chose to reconstruct the data from the first version. It goes pretty fast with the fuzzy search. Let's remember to build QQ this time. And retrieve our for loop. We're going to need the I this, yeah. And there it all is. So now, when we quit out, we get a review. Everything is currently set in reject, which means the answer is wrong. And we're going to change that. We're going to make ignore the standard, and you'll see why in a little bit. But right now, let's just approve everything. This one here, we want to give it a caption. So the premises, these are premises now, have a title as well that will print if we get them right or wrong. And pop back and set QQ to accept as well, and save out the changes. So let's run it real quick. And it works. However, it does have a bunch of entries that we don't really want to look at. It's very noisy. So now we're going to open that session up again. We could refer to it by its number rather than its title, but we are going to do the latter. And now let's set all of these to ignore, because we need them to run, but we don't really care about the results they return, which will stay the same, and even if they didn't, that's what we're actually checking. So now we're going to run it, and everything is great. Any regressions we will see quickly, and that is the whole point. And that's one bug squashed, and a look at how the bridge tools work together. Sessions aim to combine the virtues of REPLs with a test-driven workflow, and I like the results we're getting so far. The next step for our SQLite driver is to improve our error handling. Currently, everything falls over unless a step is successful. This includes busy states, which is unfortunate. Since we have an event loop, we'll want to handle retries in both a blocking and non-blocking style. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.